Hey, fun fans, welcome back to another episode of Forecast, where we break down the week's top 8 events. I'm your host, Angel Miranda. Join us as me and my fun correspondents break down the events for week 2.
This video on fun is brought to you by viewers like you and also in partnership with the following. Discover how Kettering University students engineer their success with Kettering's amazing co-op employment programs where students earn great pay and gain valuable experience. Those accepted into Kettering University can apply for a robotics scholarship, providing up to an additional $5,000 a year in tuition assistance. Head on over to kettering.edu/first to learn more and apply. Support Fun's content creators when you sign up for a membership on YouTube Join. You'll get access to special perks like emotes, loyalty badges, and Fun members will even get early access to our scheduled videos and more. 100% of this revenue will go back to our correspondents to help recognize their efforts. Click the join button in any YouTube video to pledge your support.
Kicking off week 2, we move into the Ontario District, where we have our correspondent Evan covering the Newmarket Complex event. Evan, take it away.
Hey guys, this FRC forecast will bring us to Newmarket, Ontario, Canada, where 34 teams will compete for their chance at snagging one of the first blue banners of the Ontario District. Ontario as a whole already features quite a few of arguably the best teams in FRC, and this event is certainly no exception. So let's get right into it with 1 lock, 3 contenders, and 1 dark horse. My lock for this event is going to be none other than 2056 OP Robotics from Stony Creek, Ontario. By several metrics, 2056 easily stands out as the best team in Ontario and arguably a top 10 team in the world year after year. Coming off back-to-back wins at both their district events and their district championship last year, as well as seating first in the Archimedes division before an unfortunate upset sent them home earlier than many expected, I have no doubts that 2056 will continue their legacy and seed first or be first overall pick and take home the blue banner. My first contender is going to be, of course, first 1114 Symbotics from St. Catharines, Ontario. Coming off a win at both their district events last year and making division finals in the Galileo district at championships, this Hall of Fame team knows how to bring the heat with unique designs and consistent performances every year. Though it's been 8 years since the event win streak with 2056 ended, I hope that didn't make any of you feel too old. I could see 2056 and 1114 teaming up once again just like old times to take home the blue banner. My next contender is going to be 4039 Makeshift Robotics from Hamilton, Ontario. Coming off a gold medal and a silver medal at their district events last year, 4039 is one of those teams that is consistently a top performer, but perhaps gets overshadowed by some of the more well-known Ontario teams. Still, this team is so consistent year after year, and they have made substantial improvements throughout their team's history. Additionally, with their community outreach securing at least 1 Impact Award every year and earning them the District Championship Impact Award last year, I'm going to be a bit bold and say I would not be surprised if 4039 manages to pull off a Kling Bling with the Impact Award and potentially an event win or finalist performance. My last contender is going to be 4476 Waffles from Kingston, Ontario. This team shocked a lot of people last year with a perfect 7-win, 0-loss, 0-tie record at their second district event and ranking first in their district championship division. However, anyone watching this team or working closely with them knows this wasn't a one-time fluke. 4479 has been consistently improving each year by streamlining their design and fabrication process. Another team that, just like 4039, has a streak of taking home at least 1 Impact Award each year. This is another team I could see pulling off a Kling Bling with the Impact Award or Engineering Inspiration and a potential winning or finalist performance. Lastly, a potential dark horse at this competition is 5024 Raider Robotics from London, Ontario. In 2023, they finished ranked in the top 10 of all their district events, including their district championship division. Despite this, I hardly see any discussion of this team at all outside Ontario. Overlooking this team will be a critical mistake for any team at this event. We already know what their robot looks like, and from what I can tell, it looks like a solid design. Statbotics even has them ranked above other more well-known teams such as 7480, 1305, and 865, just to name a few. This team will be a valuable asset to any alliance, and I think the further they fall in alliance selection, the more likely an upset is at the event. Newmarket is definitely looking to open the Ontario district with a bang, and I'm extremely excited to see how this event shakes out. Let us know in chat which teams you're rooting for or what teams you think we should have mentioned.
Thanks, Evan. Moving on back to the States, we have our correspondent Scott covering the Greene County Regional. Scott, stage is yours.
This weekend, 43 teams are set to gather in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the 2024 edition of the Green Country Regional. This event features a flurry of out-of-town teams, including 118, 1730, 2996, 3284, 4329, 4499, 5484, and 6424, along with some notable local teams of 1561, 2352, and 5889. Two of the teams have already competed so far this year. Team 118, the Robotics, winners of the first in Texas Katy District event as captain of the number 4 seed, and Team 5484, Career Academy Robotics Wolfpack, captain of the number 7 seed Alliance in the first in Indiana Mishawaka event after finishing 10th overall after qualifications. This event features a number of powerhouse teams and should have a very competitive playoffs. But with that being said, let's take a look at 5 teams that will be looking to leave their mark on this year's competition. Our first lock for the event will have Team 118, the Robotics, from Clear Creek Independent School District in Houston, Texas. After going 9-3 through qualification matches at the Katy, Texas District event last week, 118 wound up as the captain of the 4-seed Alliance, going all the way through playoffs without losing a single match and winning the event. With their multi-sided intake, turreted shooter, and solid climb, 118 will be well positioned to seed high at this event and look to make another deep run through the playoffs. Our second lock for the event is going to be Team 4499, the Highlanders from Fort Collins, Colorado. A team with a long history of sustained success, this Colorado powerhouse won all 3 of the regional events last season and looked to have a robot capable of continuing that sustained success. With a nearly complete 5-note autonomous, solid speaker and amp scoring with a climb capable of scoring into the trap, they have all the tools that they will need to take the number 1 overall seed for themselves. Our first contender for this event, hailing from Lee Summit, Missouri, is Team 1730 Team Driven. Winners of last year's Smoky Mountain Regional and making it all the way to the final lower bracket match as the captain of the number 2 seed on the Johnson division at last year's World Championship, they have the experience and the drive to compete at the highest levels. This year they have a very small and fast swerve bot with a shooter that they have been dialing in to a high degree of accuracy. Couple that with an excellent side climb and the occasional shot into the trap, 1730 should be able to rack up the rank points and could form a solid alliance to challenge our 2 locks for this event. Our second contender for the event is also from Missouri. It's Team 6424 Stealth Panther Robotics from Knob Noster, Missouri. Coming off their most successful season in team history, winning all 3 of the regional events last season, this team has built arguably their best robot in team history. This small, elegant robot is fast and a scoring machine capable of filling both the amp and the speaker with a steady supply of notes. While they don't currently appear to have an ability to score into their trap, their fast and consistent scoring, alongside with the ability to climb, will make them a phenomenal choice for any team in the playoffs or a powerful alliance captain in their own right. Finally, we have our dark horse for the event. From Lutheran High School of St. Charles, it's Team 4329, the Lutheran Roboteers. A team with an inspiring off-the-field record, including an Engineering Inspiration Award at the 2022 World Championship. This team has made some great improvements to their on-their-field performance these last few years. Captain of the winning alliance for the Newton Division at last year's World Championship and winners of the Iowa Regional last year, their performance has continued to improve. This year, with their pivoting shooter and under-the-bumper intake, this team looks to have made some fantastic progress on this year's robot, and should everything come together for them, they could have their own say on how this year's Green Country Regional plays out.
We hope you're enjoying this video here on Fun. If so, do make sure you click that subscribe button to stay up to date on all Fun YouTube videos and give the video a thumbs up. It really does help. We'd like to thank this show's sponsor, Kettering University, for their support of Fun. Those who are accepted in Kettering University are eligible to receive up to $5,000 a year in a robotics scholarship. Head on over to kettering.edu/first to get more information about Kettering University and the robotics scholarship. Over 30% of those who attend Kettering University were in high school robotics, so go attend somewhere that has so many other people like you at kettering.edu/first.
For Michigan this week, we head to a new district that is happening for the first time in its existence, the First in Michigan Lake City event. This event is being held at Lake City High School in Lake City, Michigan, which is located in upper mid-Michigan. Coming into this event, we will see 35 teams for the first time, as only 5 teams were competing this past week in Week 1. This is pretty usual for most teams here in Michigan, as most like to not compete back-to-back, but we do indeed have 5 teams that are competing Weeks 1 and 2 this year to complete their 2 district events to try and qualify for this year's Michigan State Championship in Saginaw. Interviewing the other district events here in Michigan this weekend, Lake City, in terms of difficulty, drops right about in the middle, with Kettering 2 and St. Joe's probably taking over that top event slot in FIM this week, but this event is going to be no slouch. One of the teams that competed last week, and it is a lock for me coming into this week at Lake City, is Team 4422, the Twisted Devils from Richland, Michigan. At Battle Creek, they had a strong showing, ranking 3rd overall at the end of qualifications, being the Alliance captain of Alliance 2, and ended up taking 3rd overall at the event. The robot features a multi-piece autonomous that struggled at times during Battle Creek last weekend. But let me tell you, if this is resolved for this weekend, this robot has the capability and capacity to perform very well at this event. Diving further, my next lock for this event is a team that we saw at Kettering Week 0 before Week 1, but has not competed yet this year officially, and that's going to be Team 3641, the Flying Toasters from South Lyon. The Flying Toasters each year continue to surprise me with some of the more unique robots in Michigan and are an extremely competitive team from year to year. At Kettering Week 0, there is rumors that what they built and what they've shown at Week 0 is not the exact same one that's going to be brought to this event. But if it's anything like what was shown at Week 0, they should be due for a great event. That robot was short, had a multi-sided intake with a fast indexer to ensure the note enters and exits the robot at a very high velocity. The Toasters continue to build on from year to year, and I expect them to build on their World Championship divisional finalist trip last year into this year and make some noise at Lake City and Michigan as a whole. 2 contenders that I really like coming into this event are 2 more teams that have not competed yet, and they are Team 1918 NC Gears from Fremont, Michigan, and Team 2137, the Oxford Robocats from Oxford, Michigan. I was able to get some footage of both of these robots from public sources, and I am optimistic that these robots can perform this coming weekend at Lake City. 1918 features a short, fast, nimble robot that looks to perform well. NC Gears continue from year to year to be competitive, and I expect no less from this team in Fremont at Lake City this weekend and building on their previous year's success. 2137, the Oxford Robocats, formerly known as Team Torque, is a team that used to be one of the best in Michigan. And the past couple years were still competitive, but took a step back from that upper echelon of teams. I was able to obtain some footage of them practicing off their Facebook, and I am really excited to see this robot this weekend. We've seen the video of pivoting shooter with a compact robot, and I can see a lot of potential here, which really convinced me to add them into my second contender spot. It's important to note that this video shown is from nearly 3 weeks ago, and if the robot was that close to being done then, I am very interested to see what they are going to bring this weekend to Lake City. Finally, my one dark horse for this event is Team 3536, the Electro Eagles from Heartland. This is another team who had shown up at Kettering Week 0 before we saw a few things, and we saw that they were a turret on Swerve. They did compete at Battle Creek last week and had some issues throughout the event. Like I said, we saw them at Week 0. It was a short, nimble robot, features a turret for scoring, and to my knowledge, as of yet, there are some teams that we haven't seen yet, but this is the only robot in Michigan currently that features a turret. If they can get the kinks resolved that we saw in Week 1 with robot operation and some autonomous modes, they could surprise a lot of teams coming into this weekend and really make some noise that some teams aren't expecting to see. That's all from Lake City. Good luck to all teams, and especially those ones in Michigan.
Thanks, Nick. Moving on over to the international stage, we have our very own Tyler Olds covering the Bosphorus Regional. Tyler, take it away.
For this forecast, we're going to talk about one of the fastest growing regions in FRC. Turkey now has over 200 active teams and is quickly approaching Canada as the largest country of FRC teams outside of the US. With 4 regionals this year, Turkey is really the only option for teams in Europe and Asia to attend, and we're going to focus on the Bosphorus Regional, which brings in teams from 7 countries, including Turkey, Australia, Taiwan, Poland, China, Romania, and India. This is a very interesting event, too, as some of the top performing teams from Turkey are attending Istanbul prior, which leaves a really great middle-of-the-pack set of teams to really vie for a ticket in Houston. Let's hop into our lock for this event here at the Bosphorus Regional, and I'd be very surprised if they didn't come home with a win. To me, this is an easy pick of 46-13 Barker Redbacks out of Australia. Championship division finalist and 2 regional wins last year, Barker is a powerhouse out of Australia, and this year's robot, as we see in the reveal video, is another masterpiece. Barker builds small and nimble robots, and this year's robot really is no exception. In the reveal, you can see that they believe in the passing method that we saw used in week 1 at a couple events, but teams, there could be a couple of different ways to stop Barker. It does look like they have a fixed angled shooter and mainly shooting from the subwoofer, at least in the reveal video, and we've seen effective strategies block that subwoofer in the past, and also their amp shot is pretty unguided, relying on a vertical trajectory into the amp, which may work great, but it may not also work at all, especially once it gets in the official field. I had confidence in Barker, but a couple things to make note of. I'm going to pick 3 contenders for this event who could serve as a top team that either pairs well with our lock or could knock out our lock. In no particular order, I'm going to start with 6985 Enkatek out of Dilovasi, Turkey. Last year at Bosphorus, they won Excellence in Engineering and were the number 2 Alliance captain. Now, they did get knocked out early in playoffs, and while I wasn't able to find anything in the robot this season, I would be on the lookout for this team, as they're ranked 3rd in EPA in Turkey and the highest Turkish-rated team at this event. Just 1 spot below them in EPA in Turkey is 5665 Spark out of Istanbul. You may have heard of this team, as they were the Impact Award finalists at Houston last year, and they've already punched their ticket to the first championship. Their robot last year had a respectable playoff run at each of their regionals, and they were also ranked 10th in divisions at championship, so watch out for this double threat. My last contender is going to be 7632 Ankang Robotics Maker from New Taipei City, Taiwan. Second at EPA in Taiwan, this team was the number 1 Lions captain and winner of the Taiwan Playoff Offseason event in 2023, and were also the first pick in the number 3 Alliance at the Hawaii Regional and regional finalists back in 2022 at the New Taipei City Honghai Regional in 2022. Now, I couldn't find anything on this team for 2024, but they have a great track record, and I don't see why we won't see another great robot coming out of this team. For my dark horse and a team that I think could really play spoiler, both at the Istanbul and Bosphorus regionals, is a team that I've had my eyes on since pre-COVID, and that's 6941 Iron Pulse Robotics from Shanghai, China. This team had a respectable performance last year at the Sacramento Regional, and we got a first glimpse of this team during premiere night a couple weeks ago. Their robot has an under bumper intake with indexing spinners, and it looks smooth in their handoff from their speaker scoring capabilities from their intake up in there. Showcasing a 4.0 auto in the reveal, this is a team that could surprise, I think, at both events that they're attending, and actually potentially see number 1 even for how good this robot looks. That's going to wrap it up, and I can't wait to check out all events in Turkey, and let us know in the comments which team you have your eyes on.
Thanks, Tyler. Moving on back to the States, we have our correspondent, Dan, who will be covering the Great Northern Regional. Dan?
Headed up north to the Great Northern Regional, we're going to see 56 total teams at this event, representing North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Canada, and 55 of these 56 teams are on their first play. This comp definitely is a little crunch time, though, for these teams, as after this competition, there are only 2 Week 6 events left in the area for teams to be able to punch their ticket to Worlds. With that said, let's jump into our locks. The first lock I have is 5172 Gators. This is a very historically successful team in the region. Looking at their history, the last regional where they didn't play in the finals was in 2018, and the last year they didn't banner was 2015. On top of their historical success, they also look to have a very promising robot this year. They have this turreting shooter, which is going to help them a lot against defense that we saw come playoffs last week, and an over-the-bumper intake that's going to be able to pick up notes very quickly and hopefully beat out other teams at the center line and auto. For my second lock, I have 3276 Toolcats with their robot Piccolo. They posted a reveal video recently that showed off a amazing 4.0 auto, the ability to do both amp and speaker cycles relatively quickly and from multiple positions on the field, and do trap as well. They have a real shot here at the number 1 seed, and if they get on an alliance with a couple of other robots that can handle notes quickly, I expect them to be very dangerous in their ability to pass notes and, in general, score accurately. For contenders, I have 876 Thunder Robotics with their robot Sound Check. They've won banners in the past 2 years, and if you look explicitly at the Great Northern Regional, they've won it in 2020 and 2022. You see, that's a bit of an even year streak that they got going here, and they might be able to extend that to 2024. They have a powerful speaker shooter on their robot and what looks to be a under the bumper intake. Although I haven't seen this robot in action, I'm excited to see it, and I expect it to perform very well this weekend, ranking high and being a early captain or first pick. My second contender, 3926 MP Errors. They were at week 0. They were on the Open Alliance. They have this beautiful adjustable angle shooter that can score from multiple points on the field. They can score in the amp. They can climb. And it looks like this robot has been together a while looking at their Open Alliance thread. With their robot being together for so long, I expect them to have a good amount of driver practice and some great autos to pair with that, which should set them apart at this early season event. Finally, to round it out, for my dark horse, I have 3293 Otterbots. This robot has a trap and climb, which, as we learned at week 1, is very rare to have all 3 robots on your alliance climb. The ability to have that trap is going to help them get that bonus RP in a lot of their matches, which is going to help them rank high, and I hope to see them as an alliance captain at this event if they can consistently manipulate notes for the rest of the match. Back to you.
Thanks, Dan. Moving on over to the Peachtree District, we have Justin covering the Anderson event. Justin?
The Peachtree District Anderson event brings 32 teams to the Anderson Civic Center in upstate South Carolina. This will be the first week of competition in the Peachtree District, and it looks to be a strong event, with teams like 3049, 1287, 3490, 1051, 4533, 8575, and 8736. But the teams I really want to highlight are even stronger. Let's start out with my first lock, 4451 Robots Garage. They're consistently one of the best teams in the state of South Carolina. Last year, they won both of their district events. In 2022, they were the finalist alliance captains here and won the Smoky Mountain Regional. Their pedigree is enough to go off of, but their design this year is also looking solid, as always. They have an articulating and variable speed shooter, amp mechanism, and trap mechanism. And like most everyone else, they have made the switch to Swerve this year. I have no doubt you'll see them in the finals again. What about some other contenders? Well, first let's talk about 2974, Walton Robotics. Without a doubt, one of the best teams in the Peachtree District. They were district champions in 2022, won both their events in 2023, and had the highest EPA in every category in 2023. I don't currently see a climber on the robot, but I suspect with their normal performance, it won't be too critical. Look for them to make it to the finals either with or against Robots Garage. I wouldn't be surprised if they take Impact Award too. They won EI at an event in 2023, Impact at an event in 2022, and they're pretty consistently up there. So, but for that, they're going to see a lot of tough competition from Category 5 and Due West, who both won the Impact and Engineering Inspiration at both of their events last year. Another team to keep an eye out for is 343, Metal in Motion. In recent years, they've always been right on the edge of greatness. They were the finalist alliance captains at both a district event and district championship last year. This year, they look to have another solid robot. They are one of the few teams I've seen in the state going for the trap, attempting the trap. And they may even be able to do it more than once. I've been told that they also have 20 plus auto programs in their pocket. So perhaps this year they can make an upset and take the top spot and maybe even the win. One last contender to highlight is going to be 281, the Green Villains. While details for them this season are low, I expect to see a strong performance for them. In 2023, they were the district champion alliance captain. They've been improving more and more every year and have a very clean looking robot this year. Obviously, aesthetics aren't everything, but this is a tough team. They build good robots. They may not necessarily be the best robot, but when it comes down to it, they're a team you want on your alliance. Now I have to add a dark horse team, and forgive me if I sound a little biased, I'm going to pick up my own team, 342, the Burning Magnetos. As this is the first event of the season in Peachtree, and only one team has prior play. I had to go off previous season stats and what I've seen from chatter in Discord and in Slack. We were finalists 4 times last year between official and off-season play, and we aren't as versatile in shooting as others, but we are consistent. Pair this with a consistent climb and amp scoring, and I think we'll make a solid pick. We haven't won an official event since 2007, and this team is hungry for a blue banner. I will, of course, be in attendance with my team, so if you're there, feel free to stop by and say hi. So, do your picks line up with mine? Hope to prove me wrong at Anderson. Let us know in the comments, and be sure to tune in and see how it goes.
Thanks, Justin. We're now going to move over to California, where we have our correspondent Stanford covering the Ventura County event. Stanford, take it away.
Welcome back to Southern California in this week's event, the Ventura Regional. 48 teams will be battling it out at the same venue as last week's Port Hueneme Regional, with a fine selection of California's up-and-coming teams alongside some powerhouses. Since the pandemic, this event has been overshadowed a bit by its Week 1 counterpart, despite having a longer history. First taking place in 2015, the Ventura Regional has served the state's Central Coast region, originally at Ventura College, but now sharing a venue with the Port Hueneme Regional at the Fathom Works warehouse. Last year, the event was rife with calamity as the roof leaked onto both teams' pits and the field, a light and ceiling exploded, and the FMS had a meltdown during playoffs. Eventually, 2 teams rose above the rest and led the number 1 alliance to victory. Coincidentally, those 2 teams also happen to form my locks for this event. Once again, I expect these teams to rank high and lead an alliance in playoffs to victory. The first of these teams is 44-14 High Tide. Already competing at their second event this year, I expect them to challenge for victory at this Week 2 event. That said, last weekend was one to forget for the reigning world champions. As the event dragged on, they battled issues with their under-the-bumper intake through quals and in playoffs made a shock early exit, partially at the hands of the affectionately dubbed Smiley Face of Doom blocker. However, when their robot was free of gremlins, they were a sight to behold on the field. Their very well-designed turret and adjustable angle shooter made them deadly when left alone in their wing, alongside their impressive amp and trap capabilities. You can bet they will be chasing their reliability issues in the intervening week, and I expect them to show up in full force this weekend. My second lock at this event is Team 4481 Rembrandts. Coming off a phenomenal performance where the Dutch team helped take down the High Tide and Peninsula Robotics Alliance at last weekend's Port Hueneme Regional, I expect them to take victory once again this weekend. They showed off quality shooting from a wide variety of locations and a super slick amp mechanism dubbed the Champer. Paired with quality auto routines, I do expect them to rank high. However, their lack of a trap mechanism may get in their way. Nevertheless, the crew in orange look good going into the Ventura Regional, and I think they can go back-to-back this weekend. Next up are the contenders who are looking to interrupt our locks and could swoop in to grab victory come playoffs. The first of these teams is another crew in orange. It's 3476 Code Orange. Coming off another classic season of theirs in 2023 where they won the Galileo division, Kodo are definitely a team that could be a thorn in our lock's sides. If they keep up their performance this year, I expect great things out of the Irvine team. Their robot has not been publicly revealed yet, so what their capabilities are is unknown to me, but I'm confident they can be a contender here in Ventura. The next contender I think that can challenge our logs is Team 696, the Circuit Breakers. Having competed at last week's Port Hueneme Regional, they have a whole regional's worth of drive practice under their belt come this weekend. Last week's event started a bit rough for the La Crescenta team, but as time went on, they got better and better. By the end, they were teleop weapons with their adjustable angle shooter and over-the-bumper intake to great effect as they cleaned up their wing. Between this and this weekend, I expect they'll have time to work on autos and maybe even a climb mechanism, which were definite weaknesses of theirs last weekend. With those 2 features added, definitely watch out for the Circuit Breakers this time around. Finally, a dark horse that is looking to interrupt our locks and contenders is Team 4738, the Patrobots. Last year, the Patrobots showed up in force, ranking in the top 8 at all of their events. Those events were no slouch either, with one of them being the Central Valley Regional, with some of California's highest performing teams in attendance, the stacked San Diego Regional, where they made their finals appearance, and the Curie Division, where they led the number 3 seed in playoffs. We don't quite know what they've cooked up this year, but if they continue their trajectory, they will be a force to be reckoned with. They'll also be carrying over a similar drive team from the offseason who also looked very strong. Last year, for a variety of reasons, they were one of the most entertaining teams to watch. And so at the very least, give these guys some attention this weekend. You won't regret it. And that was your forecast for the Ventura Regional. Once again, this was a rather hard list to narrow down. There are quite a few teams that can challenge for victory at this event. My predictions last week didn't work out so well, so take these ones with a grain of salt. I'll definitely be watching this weekend, and I'll be seeing who can claim victory this year.
Thanks, Stanford. We're now going to head on to the New England District, where we have our correspondent Stephen covering the BSU event. Stephen?
Who's ready for Crescendo Week 2? I know I am, so let's jump in and break down my predictions for the Week 2 New England District BSU event. 36 teams from all over New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island will be converging for an action-packed weekend of competition as they race to rack up those early district points in the race to Springfield. This event has a new name and a new venue this year, but it was formerly known as CMAS, and it's been happening in Bridgewater every season since 2017. Traditionally held at Bridgewater Raynham Regional High, this year the field is packed up and moved down the road to Bridgewater State University. Hopefully this is going to give a chance for a great event to have room to grow as New England continues to add more teams every season. But enough about the event. Let's get into the picks. Starting with my first locked-in pick for an Alliance captain at this week's event, it's going to be Team 125, the Neutrons. And their freshly revealed robot, Momentum. Obviously, it's 125. They don't need any introduction. They were finalists on Einstein last year. They're the 254 of the Northeast. And they took home 4 blue banners last year, including 2 district event wins and a championship division win. Their robot reveal just dropped a few hours ago, and everyone should go check it out. They have a low profile under the bumper floor pickup, a reliable shooter and amp scorer, and a fast trap score. Undoubtedly, we're going to be seeing them at the top of the rankings at the end of qualifications. Seriously, go take a look at their reveal video. Look at their test field. It's literally built out of blue banners. Moving on. From a team that's subatomic to a team that's going subsonic, my next locked-in pick for an Alliance captain this week is going to be 78 Airstrike. This Rhode Island powerhouse has already proved to be up to this year's challenge as they march through eliminations at Week 0 in Bedford, New Hampshire as the number 5 seed Alliance captain, going undefeated. For a preview of how dominant the robot has the potential to be this year, take a look at Finals Match 2 from Week 0, where despite facing heavy defensive pressure to slow them down, they were still able to cycle 10 game pieces through the match and pulled off a climb onto the stage with only seconds left on the clock. Given that they've now had additional 2 weeks of driver practice and troubleshooting, I can't even begin to imagine their scoring potential down the stretch this season. So 125 and 78 may be the big kahunas in the sandbox at Bridgewater this weekend, but there are at least 2 solid contenders out there that are going to keep them fighting for every last ranking point, and 1 or 2 dark horses to be on the lookout for. My first contender pick this week is the team with home field advantage, the tie-dyed Terrors of New England, Team 88 TJ Squared. They went up against 78 in the finals at Week 0, proving themselves to be a reliable mid-range shooter who could get across the field in traffic. They might still be ironing out a few bugs, but they have also won this event 4 times in the past. It could be the home crowd cheering them on, or it could be that they made some deal with the robot devil. Either way, you can never count 88 out at this event, and I predict that's a trend that's going to continue this year. My second contender pick for this week is the only team out that I'm picking that has actually already played regulation matches this season, and that's going to be 4909 Bionics. They were division finalists last year in Houston, and they're fresh off their semifinal loss last week at Granite State. They have a fast and reliable floor pickup and are already showing solid autonomous performance. It looks like they still have a few kinks to work out, especially with that tight inside shot on the speaker, but they're already reliably cycling 8 to 10 pieces a match. Combine that with their reliable and really high off the ground floor climb, and they're sure to be a powerful asset to any potential alliance this weekend. Lastly for this week, I want to call out my dark horse prediction. It's my next door neighbors, 1153 the Timberwolves. They had some struggles at Week 0 up in Bedford, but I would never count these guys out of the running. They're one of the district's oldest and most well-established teams, and they've been chasing that elusive first blue banner since 2003. With 7 district championship appearances and 8 world championship appearances, and countless other awards, they are hungry to finally take home that first blue banner. So hungry, in fact, that the Timberwolves started a second team this year, Team 1119, the Pup Cups. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw both members of the Walpole Wolfpack in the elimination bracket this weekend. That's all for me this week, but good luck to all the teams in Bridgewater this weekend, and I'll be back next weekend to give you guys a preview of an event from the Mid-Atlantic region.
Thanks, Steven. Well, that concludes this episode of FRC Forecast. Let us know down below whether you agree, disagree, and who you think is the true locks, contenders, and dark horses of your events. For now, you're watching FRC Forecast. I'm Angel Miranda.
This video on fun is brought to you by viewers like you and also in partnership with the following. Discover how Kettering University students engineered their success with Kettering's amazing co-op employment programs where students earn great pay and gain valuable experience. Those accepted into Kettering University can apply for a robotics scholarship providing up to an additional $5,000 a year in tuition assistance. Head on over to kettering.edu/first to learn more and apply.